It was a normal Sunday night, 9th of March. I was settled at home. Wasn't thinking anything at all. Wasn't expecting what was going to happen to me in the next few hours to happen. And I felt a very strong draw to go down to the Chapel of Adoration on the Falls Road, which I responded to. I came to the chapel at 8:30 for prayers and for the Rosary. And the Chapel of Adoration has perpetual adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, the real presence of Jesus on the altar. So the Rosary began, and then the sisters had the night prayers, and I was asked to do a reading by Mother Mary Josephine on the Meditations of St. Joseph. It was beautiful. I just was very touched, and I went back to my place kneeling, praying, and not expecting anything other than obviously just the tranquility of being in the presence of Christ, which is wonderful, but I didn't know what was going to happen next. So night prayer finished, and very soon, a few moments later, I was aware of an amazing strong touch just here in my heart. And as I feel it now, it makes me feel very emotional. And I knew it was the touch of Christ. I knew, and it was exhilarating. It was amazing. It filled me with a lot of joy and a lot of peace. And I looked up, and I knew it was the Blessed Sacrament. I knew it was Christ. And very clear to me it came within just a moment of receiving that touch that I would be a Sister of Adoration. I knew interiorly, very clearly. And I have to say, when that came, I just, insofar as I could, because I was taken up in the moment, I just sort of was caught back and went, Sister of Adoration, but it was just, I wasn't in control of this. This was the Lord. And so I sat with this, and I felt exhilarated. I felt amazed, happy, excited, just very joyful, and at the same time distracted, because I had never had this experience happen to me like this before. And so I sat with it for about almost 2 hours in the chapel, and it was an out of this world experience, just totally mind-blowing. And I was so happy, and it was, just an experience of, like I said before, various people have asked me, just like falling in love with God, and I knew what it was. So 2 hours later, about 11 o'clock, I left the Adoration Sisters, and I have to say this, it comes back to me very clear. It was like I was drunk, but it was the Holy Spirit. And I drove home, and I couldn't get enough information on the Sisters of Adoration. I Googled all about them and came on an article on the Superior General, Mother Mary Josephine, and I drank it all in, and I couldn't get enough information. I just was Googling. And eventually, in the early hours of the morning, I just went to bed, but I just felt just exhilarated, totally high, but high on the love of God. And it was an amazing experience. So I went to bed eventually, and the next day I got up, I knew I couldn't go to work. Thankfully I wasn't in court, and I hadn't any concrete commitments. I had plenty of work to do, but I just managed to come in the next day and go to the chapel here at 12 noon with the intention of seeing Mother Mary Josephine, to explain to her what happened to me, because I realised that she would know. So I came to 12 Mass, and it never occurred to me to hit the doorbell. It never occurred to me to knock the door. I just was just so taken up with what had happened to me. My head couldn't catch up with it. It was just an outer body experience, but I was feeling it, very strong. So I then had the Mass, and later I managed to meet Mother Mary Josephine, and we met in this room here that you're filming in. And I poured out my heart to her and explained to her what had happened, and she knew it was a calling. And I knew myself it was a calling. It was very clear, but I had never expected it. And the moment before the call came, I wasn't thinking of it at all. If you had said to me that I would have a calling to be a Sister of Adoration, I would have looked at you. I've been coming to the sisters here for years, to the Adoration Chapel, and I've always skipped out the door. It's a beautiful place, but I've never thought of joining it. And it was the furthest thing, really, honestly, from my mind. So I got speaking to Mother Mary Josephine, and we talked over things. It was very clear it was a calling, a strong calling to be a Sister of Adoration. And one of the things I remember saying, and I've said this before to other people, is I just put my head in my hands and I said to her, I says, Mother, how am I going to get my head around the brown? Do you know? I couldn't even think of that. I mean, one minute I was working away and life was just normal. The next minute I have this amazing experience from the Lord, which just filled me with such joy and love and peace. I never thought that I would ever receive this. I wouldn't have chosen it for myself, but I'm so glad the Lord gave it to me because it has been such a wonderful blessing. And I feel that in this calling that I will be fully fulfilled as a child of God. You know, it's just very emotional. I just feel it, you know.